If you need any help with your chairs, just let me know and I'll come out there and give you a hand. Excellent, excellent, good. Thank you very much. Folks, we did that quickly enough that I've got just enough time to tell you a cute little joke that I heard a while back. This is a joke about a veteran speaker, goes out doing presentations like this throughout the United States. And into the room came a man wearing a rather large hearing aid. So being the veteran speaker that he was encouraging the man to sit at one of the very front tables so that he wouldn't have to talk quite so loud. And the guy said, listen, fella, I know what you're doing, but let me tell you something. This is the very latest thing in digital technology. I spent almost $5,000 for it. I could sit at the table back there in the corner. I would hear every word that you're saying. I could hear as much as a whisper. And the speaker said, that's wonderful, sir. What kind is it? And he looked at his watch and he said, oh, it's about 4:30. Oh, me. Folks, my name is Gus Lovett. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. My wife, Rebecca, and I have lived in Florida now for just over 25 years. And I think once you've lived here for 25 years, they ought to grandfather you in as a native. But the native Floridians say, no, no way, you're still a Yankee. But we've raised 3 lovely daughters here in Florida. We now have 3 grandchildren, 2 grandsons and a granddaughter. I had spent the majority of my career working in the automobile industry. I had represented General Motors, Ford Motor Company, and Chrysler Corporation over about a 25-year period, mostly doing new product rollouts at the dealer level throughout the United States. But I had also gotten involved in some areas of their risk management. However, for the 4 most recent years, I had been acting vice president of the NIA Academy. That's the National Information Academy. It's a research school here in Florida. And it was during this time that I became familiar with the products that we're going to be looking at tonight. And it's because of the 100% faith that I have in these products, and also the belief in the company that I'm speaking for, Natural Health Alternatives, in the way that they do business, that I'm able to stand before you this afternoon. Now, I'm not a professional speaker, so if there's any English teachers in here, I'm going to apologize in advance because I sometimes do slaughter the English language. But the company that invited you here to dinner this afternoon is Natural Health Alternatives, based in right down the street in Cocoa Beach, Florida, where we are members, I'm glad to say, in very good standing with both the Better Business Council and also the Central Florida Better Business Bureau. Just a couple of housekeeping matters before I get into the presentation. If you would, please refrain from talking during the presentation because it makes it very difficult for those around you to hear what I'm saying. And I'm going to be talking about some very important health issues that I'm sure you're going to want to hear. And also, if you would, please hold any and all questions until the very end of the presentation. It's likely that I will answer any of your questions that you have as I'm giving you the information, but in the event that I don't answer your particular question, I promise I'll take the time afterwards to answer all of your questions. I think you're going to enjoy the presentation this afternoon. It seems that most people that see our products end up trying our products because they find that they're about half the price of those of a lesser quality. If you like what you see, then certainly we'll take an order from you. And if you don't, that's fine too. But I would like you to pay particular attention to 4 very important key points. And those are, number 1, is it easy to use? Folks, if it isn't easy to use, it's only going to end up sitting out in the garage or up in the attic where it's going to collect cobwebs. The second key point, are there no negative side effects? In other words, is it safe? Because if it isn't safe, you don't want to fool with it. The third key point, is it backed by experts, people that you know and people that you trust? And then lastly, is there no financial risk? We'll come back and revisit those at the end of the presentation. Folks, I'm not here this afternoon to talk about cigarette smoking, but I'll confess to all of you that I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day for many, many years. And when I had a nice dinner like you're going to have tonight, after dinner I got heartburn. If I ate Italian food, boy did I get heartburn. But I could eat ice cream and I got heartburn. See, it had absolutely nothing to do with the food I was eating. What it had to do with, as soon as I placed the fork or the spoon on the table, I picked up a cigarette and I put it in my mouth. And for me, it would cause a digestive problem. And you know, to do the same thing the same way and expect to get a different result is what is defined as insanity. So I had to change something first. And you know, changes come with different levels of difficulty. I've got to tell you, quitting smoking had a level of difficulty that was way up here. It was very, very hard. Matter of fact, it took me 3 times quitting before I finally succeeded, thank God, about 10 years ago. Other changes come with less difficulty. Let me give you an example. If you'd all just take your hands and fold them in front of you like this. Just fold them before you. What I'd like you to do is now recognize whether you've got the right thumb or the left thumb on top. And now that you're aware of that, go ahead and put your hands back down by your side. Now what I'd like you to do is to refold your hands. This time, put the opposite thumb on top. Did you feel that? That's change. It wasn't hard for you to do. It felt a little bit awkward, though. Now go ahead and let's try one more. Fold your arms in front of you like this. Now recognize whether you got the right arm on top or the left arm, and now that you've been made aware of that, go ahead and put your arms back down by your side. All the way down now, no cheating. Okay, now refold your arms the opposite way. Yeah, see, if you found that somewhat difficult to do, the likelihood of you continuing to do that, if you found it a little bit difficult, would be very, very remote. See, the lower the level of difficulty the change is, the more likely we are to stay with it. The higher the level of difficulty, of course, the less likely we are to stay with the change. Now, when you were invited here tonight, you all received an invitation. Has anybody got one of those invitations handy that I could look at? There's one right here. Thank you very much, sir. And it has on it lists some ailments. It has arthritis, osteoporosis, fatigue, insomnia, cramps, backaches, impotence. Oh, I see, sir, you've circled impotence here. No, he didn't. He did not. I'm kidding. I'm fooling. He's got a knife on his table. I'm only fooling. It has backaches, impotence, asthma, lethargy, fibromyalgia, hypertension, carpal tunnel syndrome. Thank you very much, sir. Now, who in here, is there anybody here that's not suffering from any of those ailments? Here's your chance to raise your hand if you're not suffering from any of those ailments. Well, see, I don't see any hands going up. See, nobody takes time out of their busy schedule to listen to a 45-minute presentation on something that they have absolutely no interest in. We're either here because we have these problems, or if we don't, we're here because we'd like to learn how we could prevent them from happening to us. When I was growing up, my parents always taught me that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, absolutely. Now, if you do end up having any of these problems, you're going to end up going to the doctor's office. When you leave the doctor's office, you're usually going to leave having one or two choices. One is surgery, and nobody wants to go under the knife. Or number two, they're going to prescribe a prescription drug for you. And folks, do we take a lot of prescription drugs in this country? Yeah. Did you realize that last year alone, there was over 3 billion prescriptions filled in the United States? That's far more per capita than any other of the industrialized nations in the world, and it has doubled just over the last 10 years. They're now forecasting by the end of the year 2001, this year, that over 4 billion prescriptions would be filled. Medicare and Medicaid are very concerned, too, because they've watched the prices double over the last 6 years, over the last 8 years, and now they're forecasting that they're going to double once again just over the next 6 years. Now, who in here has ever taken any kind of medication whatsoever for pain? Raise your hand if you've ever taken a pain medication. Oh, come on, the rest of you are telling the truth. Who here is not going to raise their hand no matter what question I ask? No, listen, if you've taken an aspirin, an Advil, an ibuprofen, an Aleve, okay, a Tylenol, did you know that you can take just one regular strength Tylenol a day for 10 days in a row and you'll risk liver damage? That's right. And did you know you should not take Tylenol in conjunction with the vitamin C? That's also correct. If you open up the box that the bottle comes in, you take out the little folded piece of paper that's in there, unfold it, get out your magnifying glass, you'll be able to read that for yourself. When you take these pain medications, do they cure you? No, absolutely not. Once the pain medication wears off, the problem, the symptom is still there. And many of us take much stronger medications. For example, if you're having tea that has caffeine, or you're going to have coffee with your dinner that has caffeine, and you're worried about getting a good night's sleep tonight, of course, you could take a sleeping pill and you'd probably sleep through the night just fine. But if you took the whole bottle, you'd sleep forever. There's some very strong chemicals in there. Here's an article here made national headlines, and it says, in harm's way, medical errors kill up to 98,000 people yearly. It says right here, as many as 98,000 Americans die unnecessarily every year from medical mistakes made by physicians, pharmacists, and other healthcare professionals. These stunningly high rates of medical errors resulting in deaths, permanent disability, and unnecessary suffering are simply unacceptable in a medical system that promises first to do no harm, which is part of the Hippocratic Oath. That was a year ago, November. In a more recent article, dated October 11th, the year 2000, on the very front page of the USA Today, it says, Special report to air can be deadly. It says medical errors up to 98,000 such deaths a year, perhaps the nation's most disturbing healthcare statistic. The Institute of Medicine report last November that I just cited that named errors made by doctors, nurses, and hospital workers the USA's 8th leading killer. So you see, folks, it is very serious business. Here's also an article made national headlines. It says, marketing sleaze cited and sued against drug maker. This is where a pharmaceutical company is being sued. What are they being sued for? It says right here, it says, they fraudulently withheld information about the drug's adverse side effects from the FDA, the doctors, the public, even the drug company's own sales representatives, all in the name of profits. Now, here's a pharmaceutical company that knew what adverse drug side effect their drug was having. They didn't tell the Food and Drug Administration. They didn't tell our doctors. They didn't tell us. They told nobody because they were more concerned with what might or might not fall on the bottom line in the way of profits, and we all know that that is terrible. Here's an article I took out of our local paper. It's the Florida Today, dated Tuesday, December the 12th, the year 2000. And on the front page, it says right here, doctors must check drug safety warnings. One after another, blockbuster-selling drugs are being yanked off the market for killing or injuring Americans. Even the Food and Drug Administration commissioner urges consumers to be cautious. Since 1997, 11 popular prescription drugs have been pulled from pharmacies after causing deaths or serious injuries. So you see, again, it is very serious. Here's an article, this also made national headlines. It says, doctors awash with drug firm perks. It says, free meals, trips, gifts unethical, some say. Dinners at Cafe L'Europe in Palm Beach and La Ville Masson in Boca Raton. Weekend getaways at lavish Las Vegas casinos in Oceanfront, Ritz-Carlton, and Marina del Rey, California. It says right here, drug companies ply physicians with free meals, free trips, even cash. They do it to persuade the physician to prescribe their latest wonder drugs. And it says here, the doctors say they see nothing wrong with it. Now, folks, I'm not here this afternoon to bash doctors. I know doctors do a lot of good. I know, I watch ER. But, folks, there's something certainly wrong with the medical system that allows these pharmaceutical companies to spend an average of $8,000 per physician in this country to get them to prescribe their latest drug over somebody else's drug. There's something very, very wrong with that. Here's a nationally syndicated column called The People's Pharmacy. Some of you may be familiar with it. We started getting in the local paper here. It's by Dr. Joe and Teresa Graydon. And it says right here, according to the review in the Journal of American Medical Association, more than 100,000 people die in hospitals each year from prescription drug complications. It's as if a jumbo jet crashed every day all year long. Now, folks, if a jumbo jet crashed every day all year long in this country, I doubt if any one of us, including me, would be standing in line to get onto a jumbo jet, would we? Then it goes on to say this. It says, in most cases, bodies have to stack up before the Food and Drug Administration even notice that there's a problem. And then listen to this. Often the discovery of the life-threatening drug dangers does not result in the medicine being pulled from the market. Well, what is that all about? I'm going to tell you what it's all about. We had a lady come up after one of our presentations. She says, I don't need the products that your company manufactures. My doctor has prescribed a new drug for my arthritis called Celebrex. And some of you may be familiar with Celebrex. I can see that you are. Understand you can still get a prescription for Celebrex today. I was watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, very popular TV game show, and I'm sure because of the popularity that the commercials aren't cheap either. And during the commercial break, I see repeatedly commercials for Celebrex, so we know you can still get a prescription for it. Finally, a year ago, June, the Food and Drug Administration removed Resolin off of the market. But folks, Resolin was removed off of the market after it killed 63 Americans and it caused permanent liver damage to 90 other Americans. And then the FDA said, well, we better get that one off of the market. But folks, it was taken off of the market after the pharmaceutical company sold $2.8 billion worth of Resolin. You know, we had a pharmaceutical representative shared with us some very sobering information. He told us that the company that he works for, a large pharmaceutical firm, spends 4 times more advertising their drugs than they do in the research and development of the drug. And if you think about that for a moment, you're going to know that it's true, because when we were growing up, We never saw prescription drug ads on TV. We saw Plop Plop Fizz Fizz. We saw the Pepto-Bismol commercial. We didn't see prescription drug ads on television. Now they're on all of the network stations. They're on the cable stations as well. Look at Sunday's newspaper. Full page, very expensive ads for prescription drugs. They weren't there then, but they are now. And you don't have to be sitting in your doctor's office reading a medical magazine to see prescription drug ads. They're in every single magazine that's being published today. As a matter of fact, Reader's Digest is about half full of prescription drug ads, so we know that that's true. But he told us something else that's even more disturbing. He told us that the company that he works for spends 6 times more lobbying the FDA to get their drugs passed than they do in the research and development of the drug. And do you know what that is? That's taking the right federal official out for dinner or out for a round of golf or out deep sea fishing to get their drugs passed. But you got to understand now, here's a pharmaceutical company that produced a drug that killed 63 Americans whose names they didn't know, caused permanent liver damage to 90 other Americans whose names they didn't know, versus $2.8 billion that they made off of producing the drug. And shamefully, and sadly so it is, it's all about money. You know, the United States Department of Health claims that even though we have all these so-called wonder drugs and the best physicians in the world, and we really do have the world's best doctors, people come from all over the world to go to our surgical centers to get surgery, but even though we have all this, we are the least healthy of all the industrialized nations in the world. We're number 24 out of 24. We're dead last. We don't live longer, and we don't live healthier. And the United States Department of Health claims it's because Americans have a reactive or apathetic attitude towards their health. As a matter of fact, the United States Department of Health claims that the average American takes better care of their automobile than they do their own body. And don't you, every 3,000 or 6,000 miles, take your car in to get the oil change? Sure, I do too. I want to make sure that engine's running smoothly. I don't want to have to replace the engine to my automobile. But folks, you can always replace the engine to your car. The good Lord's only given us one body to be on this earth with, and it cannot be replaced. Is there anything on God's good earth that's more important than your health? Of course not. You know, the United States Department of Health claims, because of a reactive or apathetic attitude, that 90% of all Americans will spend 60% of their retirement savings in just the last 3 years of their lives on doctors, hospitals, and prescription drugs. Isn't that sad to think that you'd work 30, 40, 50 years very hard to have a nice retirement nest egg, only to see it gone in the last 3 years when you should be enjoying it or at least willing it to your grandchildren, somebody that you love, not letting it go to the hospitals or the pharmaceutical companies. But, you know, many of us are becoming more aware. Maybe many of you that are here this afternoon are more aware. Maybe you're watching the amount of fat that you have in your diet. Maybe you're watching your sugar intake, or maybe after dinner at night you're taking a walk around the neighborhood to get some exercise and activity. Maybe you're taking some vitamins or you're taking some supplements. Well, what we're here to talk about tonight is another very significant step that you may take to help yourself preventatively and curably, called magnetic field therapy. Now, who in here has ever read or heard anything whatsoever about magnetic field therapy? Would you raise your hand? I want to get a count, if you don't mind. Hold them up high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you very much. And how many of you in here are currently using magnetic therapy in any form? Would you hold your hand up real high, please? Not 1 out of 9. Do you know why that is? It's, in my opinion, it's because you hadn't done the research. See, I believe that if you had done the research on what you had already read or what you had already heard, you would be using magnetic field therapy today. Because you see, there's never been not one clinical negative side effect ever reported on magnetic field therapy. And there's nothing new about magnetic field therapy at all. It's been around for thousands of years. Here's an article came out of the Miami Herald, and it says, "Is there magic in magnets? For thousands of years, magnets have been touted as having healing powers. Now scientists are seeing the proof." This is about a 52-year-old grandmother from South Florida who fell down and broke her wrist while she was rollerblading. Now, when I was a kid, we went roller skating or we went ice skating. Now they've combined the two, and this lady was out like many of us are on a Saturday afternoon doing tricks on our rollerblades. I'm kidding. But she fell down, she broke her wrist. The doctor set her wrist and started it right away on magnetic therapy. And it says here, "I came back to the office and the pain was gone. I went from chomping down 6 to 8 Tylenol with codeine a day to just 1. Now let me ask you, who here knows how long it takes for a bone fracture to heal? How long does it take for a bone fracture to heal? 6 weeks, never less than 6 weeks, and it can take longer. This is the doctor's quote. "When she returned for her checkup 3 weeks after the spill, an x-ray showed the fracture had healed about half the normal time." The fracture had healed completely in about half the normal time, and the doctor attributed it only to the difference that magnetic therapy had made in his patient. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but wait a minute, Gus, that lady believed that those magnets were going to work in her mind, and that's why they work for her so well. And I guess there is such a thing as mind over matter, although I remember my father telling me if you had no mind, it didn't matter. But no, if you think putting a four-leaf clover on your forehead will get rid of a headache, and you really believe in it strongly enough, it may get rid of your headache. I'm not going to argue that. But what I want to tell you is this. They've been using magnetic therapy in this country for over 40 years on racehorses. And what the veterinarians and the owners and the trainers know is that they can wrap the torso of the racehorse on a magnetic pad similar to this. It helps the horse with its cardiovascular system, its aches and its running pains, gets the horse back out there on the track faster where it's able to earn money. Now, the veterinarians and the owners and the trainers know that it's working because it's getting the animal back out there on the track faster, but when it comes to the brain of a racehorse, there's no such thing as mind over matter. And folks, animals don't lie. You know, the American Thoroughbred Association uses $1.5 million annually on magnetic therapy products, and again, animals don't lie. You know, if you don't hear anything else at all that I'm saying here tonight, please listen to this very, very carefully. Since 1989, the Food and Drug Administration has looked at every single clinical study that has ever been performed on magnetic field therapy, and they've come up with two very important conclusions. The first conclusion is this. Regardless of your medical condition, whether you should, God forbid, have cancer or heart disease or diabetes, metal hip replacements, titanium knees, a steel rod in your back, shrapnel from a war wound, metal plate in your head, fillings in your teeth, a pig's valve, a plastic aorta, stents in your heart, regardless of the medication you're on, whether it's Coumadin, hypertension medication, insulin, chemotherapy, radiation, regardless of your medical condition, magnetic field therapy has zero negative side effects. It cannot hurt you in any way, shape, or form unless you've got a pacemaker, and then the magnets could interfere with the battery operation of the pacemaker, and I'm sorry, magnetic field therapy would not be for you. For everybody else, 100% safe. The second important conclusion was this. It has an over 90% success rate. So now what I'd like you to do is I want you to compare it from the same study period, from 1989 to present, the last 12 years, and I want you to compare it to the 20 million Americans that have been hospitalized and the 1 million Americans that have died as a result of a prescription drug complication. And I want you to ask yourselves, am I going to continue to put myself in harm's way with these dangerous chemicals, an adverse side effect, a misread prescription that could kill me, or do I want to try something that is 100% natural, can't hurt me in any way, shape, or form, and has an over 90% success rate? Well, the answer should be pretty obvious, but Gus, are there any people that I might know that use magnetic therapy? Yeah, there's probably hundreds of people that you know. I'm going to share with you just a few. Now, these aren't paid testimonies. These people aren't given any money, any free products. These are just a few people that I know that you'll be familiar with. The first one says, I've had arthritis for years. I've tried every pill, nostrum, and treatment, and then I tried magnetic field therapy and believe that it is responsible for keeping me functioning in relative comfort. That's from Dick Van Dyke. Next it says, I suffered from terrible shoulder pain for years. I started experiencing relief within 1 to 2 weeks of starting magnetic therapy. It has been the answer to my prayers, and that's from Anthony Hopkins, also the actor. Next it says, my football injury resulted in torn tendons and ligaments in my foot. I expected to miss 8 weeks of the season, but doctors used magnetic therapy to accelerate the healing process, and I returned in just 3 weeks. And that's from retired quarterback Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins. And folks, today there's a portion of the Miami Dolphin game bench that's covered with a waterproof version of this right here because it helps the players with their cardiovascular system, their aches and their pains, and it gets them back out there in the field faster where they're being paid to be. And then here it says, in 1994, I considered myself too crippled to play golf anymore, but since starting magnetic therapy, I haven't missed one golf tournament that I wanted to play in. I don't go anywhere without my magnetic mattress pad. And that's from Jim Colbert, pro golf for the Senior PGA Tour. Folks, in 1994, Jim Colbert said, that's it. I'm hanging up my golf clubs. I'm just too crippled to ever play golf again. And lucky for him, he ran into his friend Bob Murphy in Gigi Rodriguez, and they told him what they had learned about magnetic therapy, and they got Jim started on it. As he says, he returned in 1995, not missing a single tournament of play that he wanted to be in. And folks, since he returned in 1995, Jim Colbert's earned $8.2 million. That's not too shabby for a guy that was just too crippled to ever play golf again, and he attributes it only to the difference that magnetic therapy has made in his life. Folks, we now know that about 90% of the senior tour travel with and use religiously a magnetic sleep system. What are they talking about? It's this right here. This is our twin size model. This has 290 therapeutic magnets in the twin size model. Now, folks, it isn't going to do you any good to go home tonight and take the magnets off your refrigerator and sprinkle them on your bed. The magnets on your refrigerator are 10 Gauss strength. The magnets in the sleep system here are 3,950 Gauss strength, 400 times stronger, but they're also certified magnets. They're Class 8s. They're measured from the surface, not from the core. They're the strongest that are available. You know, and I get some people say, Gus, listen, I am familiar a little bit with magnetic therapy. Does your company make the shoe insoles that go in your shoes, or the wristbands or waistbands or headbands? No, folks, we don't make those. We never have, and we never ever will. See, we find that the magnets in those are just too small, too weak to do a lot of people a lot of good. Some people do get some pain relief from those, but it can be sporadic. Understand that the magnets in the twin size model weigh almost 28 pounds, so they're much too heavy to ever be worn on your body. But even though they are heavy and they are large, I could lay this sleep system here on this rock hard floor. You could come up and lay on it. You would not feel any of the magnets through the plush casing. But even more important than that is this. Every single clinical double-blind study that has ever been performed has proven conclusively that the best way to treat any of the ailments in your body, even ailments that are in your extremities, is to treat your entire body, because we're all one unit. I've got the same blood goes through my feet that goes through my fingers, that goes to my head, and every study has proven conclusively the best way to treat these ailments is to treat your entire body. Now, are there any clinical studies that support what we're talking about? Once again, folks, there's been thousands of clinical studies. I'm going to share with you some that have been done recently from some places that I know that you'll be familiar with. The first one is April of 1996. Baylor College of Medicine says magnetic field therapy resulted in prompt relief of pain in post-polio patients. 1997, Vanderbilt University Medical Center. 80 to 90% of patients with pain from sports injury found relief after magnetic therapy. 1997, Tufts University School of Medicine. Magnetic therapy helped relieve fibromyalgia pain. I hope there isn't anybody here this afternoon that's suffering from fibromyalgia. Very painful, very debilitating. We had a lady whose granddaughter, 14 years old, very unusual for somebody that young to be stricken with fibromyalgia, but this young lady had it so bad she had not attended school for 2 years. The grandmother learned of magnetic therapy, got her started on it, and it was 6 or 7 months into the therapy. She had enough relief of the pain. It wasn't completely gone, but she had enough relief of the pain to where she was able to return back to school for the first time in 2 years. And what a victory in that young lady's life to be able to do that. Does it cure fibromyalgia? No, they don't even know what causes fibromyalgia. They do know that it inflicts women about 5 times more frequently than it does men. Does it help with the terrible pain and the burning or the sensitivity to the skin that's associated to it? The results have really been very, very good. And Tufts University School of Medicine supports that. Next, 1997, magnetic field therapy has been proven effective in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, infections, inflammation, headaches, migraine headaches, and cluster headaches as well. Insomnia. Hey, the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to get the best night's sleep you've had in a very long time. Gentleman ordered the sleep system for 2 reasons. One, he had arthritis. Number 2, he had insomnia. UPS delivered it to his door. He called the very next day. He says, I don't care if it never touches my arthritis. I'll sleep on the product for the rest of my life. Last night I went to bed at 11 o'clock. I slept straight through 8 hours beautifully. I hadn't done that in 3 years. And you know, the benefits of getting a good night's sleep are you got more physical energy, you got better mental acuity, so insomnia. And then next it says circulatory problems. Folks, as we get older, our circulatory systems does slow down, but every night when you go to bed at rest, your heart rate slows down, your pulse rate slows down, your breathing, your respiratory system, it all slows down. My wife can tell when I'm asleep by the way that I'm breathing. But what happens is our blood has a tendency to thicken, and it pools on the bottom of our bodies. Is there anybody in here that knows the most common time of day to suffer a heart attack? First thing in the morning, you're absolutely right. And it isn't because we would rather die than go to work. What's happening is our body clock is telling our heart, it's time to get up. And it's trying to move that thickened, pooled blood through our sometimes constricted and clogged arteries, and bang, that's when you suffer a heart attack. And that's one of the reasons why. So circulatory problems. And then it has fractures, pain, and stress. Next, 1998, magnetic field therapy has freed 90% of more than 11,000 patients of neck and back pain, and that's from the Isuzu Hospital in Tokyo, Japan. And folks, do you know what country has fewer of all these problems that we've been talking about than any other country? Japan, that's right. And understand, in Japan, they've got McDonald's restaurants, and they've got Domino's Pizza, they've got Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a lot of the Japanese men that I met while I was in the automobile industry smoked cigarettes too, but they still believe in prevention. It's the only country in the world where the workers show up 1 hour before work to exercise, that's right. And folks, there are 30 million people in Japan that go to bed every night on a magnetic sleep system, and they've been doing it for decades. As a matter of fact, the magnets in this very sleep system here are mined in Japan. The Japanese make the strongest and the most expensive magnets in the world. They're made of a combination of ceramic and rare earth metals. They will retain 90% of their strength for over 400 years, so they never ever have to be replaced in any of our lifetime. The rest of the products made in the United States of U.S. materials of a combination of cotton and silk. Very, very comfortable, yet very durable. As a matter of fact, carries a lifetime wear and tear warranty on the product itself. It's very easy to use. Whatever size bed that you have, it's made to order where it will fit perfectly from corner to corner, side to side. It's very easy to care for. You can spray a little Woolite on it and wipe it off. You can take a little detergent and water, wipe it off. You can run a hand vacuum over it. Guys, you don't want to put it in the washing machine. It will walk the washing machine out of the house. But you can put any kind of a mattress pad over it you'd like to. If you've got a standard mattress pad, that's fine. Rubberized plastic, that's okay too. Or you can just put a fitted sheet over it. If you've got one of the thick egg crate looking mattress pads, it looks like you could stick eggs in to keep them from breaking. What we would like you to do is to put this on top of that as to not impede any of the strength of the magnets. Now, how does magnetic field therapy work? Well, I'm glad that you asked. This is an article that came out of Today's Health, and it says, the growing attraction of magnetic therapy. It says, stop scoffing. Scientists find magnets really relieve pain. How does it work? It says right here, it increases the blood flow by dilating blood vessels and attracting oxygen. Number 2, it changes the migration of calcium ions to heal broken bones faster. That's why that lady's wrist could heal in about half the time. And then it says here, or moves the calcium away from the arthritic joints where we don't want it. You know, I think we're all old enough in here to remember the first manned space mission. You remember the space capsule splashed down in the ocean? The Navy helicopter picked it up and they brought it on board the aircraft carrier to where then the astronauts were carried off on stretchers. See, they could not stand under their own strength. And what the doctors at NASA and the NASA physicists thought at the time, it was because they were in zero gravity and now they're back to their Earth weight of 180, 190 pounds, and that's why they couldn't stand. But the leading NASA physicist at the time, his name was Otto Hamming, and what he found out had nothing to do with gravity. It had to do because they were deprived of the Earth's natural negative magnetism, and it resulted in their bones and their muscles leaching calcium. And because of that, today, manufactured into all of those spacesuits at the cost of about $30 million, are magnets. We don't leave this Earth without them. Now we have space stations with magnetic generators. We can send men and women into space now. They're gone for 3 months. When they land on the shuttle right over here, they walk off the shuttle like they're walking off of a commercial airline. They're not being carried off on stretchers, are they? But if it weren't for the magnets, they would be, because understand, there's nothing on this Earth can survive without negative magnetism. And then here it says also, it blocks pain signals sent by nerves to the brain. That's why we've had tremendous results with non-circulatory problems, like with polio patients, post-polio patients, or fibromyalgia. That's not circulatory either, or shingles. Shingles isn't a circulatory disease. It's a zoster herpes that is derived from having chicken pox. It sits way down low in the root of your spinal cord nerve, and when it comes out on the skin, the pain and the burning is something horrible. Does it cure shingles? No, it doesn't. Does it help with the terrible pain and the burning that's associated with it? The results have really been very, very good. But folks, it was actually proven back in 1954 how magnetic field therapy actually works by a doctor that some of you may be familiar with, Dr. Linus Pauling. Dr. Pauling's known as the vitamin C doctor, and he also received 2 Nobel Prize awards and was one of the first to prove how magnetic field therapy actually worked. And very simply stated is this: in our blood we have hemoglobin. In the hemoglobin we carry between 4 and 5 grams of iron. Iron, of course, is magnetic, and what it does is it stimulates that iron, increases the oxygen, and it increases the circulation by up to 300%. Well, Gus, that's marvelous if it does all that, but if it does all that, why isn't my doctor telling me about magnetic field therapy? And that's a very good question, but let me ask you this. What has your doctor been trained on? Medicine and surgery. And I'm going to tell you something. In my own family doctor's defense, they're way too busy treating us reactively to treat us proactively. When was the last time I went to my doctor's office and said, "Hi, doctor, how are you today?" "Fine, Gus, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing terrific." No, I'm there because I'm having a problem. They're going to react to whatever is the problem that I'm having. And I'm going to tell you something. I leave there, just like every one of you that are in this room tonight, I leave there really one of 3 ways. I leave there being told I've got to have something cut out or cut off. I've got to go someplace else to get more tests run, or I leave with a little piece of paper to go to the pharmacy. I have never left there any other way, and I doubt that you had either. And you know what? If you, God forbid, had heart disease, you would not be talking to a neurologist about your heart problem, would you? You'd be talking to a heart specialist, I would hope. It's the same thing. See, if you're looking for natural, non-intrusive ways to help yourself preventatively or curably, you want to look to the doctors who are the experts in this field. And I'm going to share with you just a few. The first one is Dr. William H. Philpott. Dr. Philpott has done more research on the subject than any other doctor in the United States. And Dr. Philpott says, "I have found through years and years of research that the magnetic mattress pad is the best product for both prevention and treatment of disease." So you see, whether you're here to treat a disease or whether you're here to prevent disease, Dr. Philpott, who's done more research on it than any other doctor in the United States, says that this is the very best product. It places the entire body in a magnetic field that creates a natural sleep-inducing, stress-reducing, anti-inflammatory environment all night long. The health rewards cannot be overemphasized. That's from Dr. Philpott. Next is Dr. H.L. Bansell from Hopkins University. Magnetic field therapy increases the production and secretion of hormones, namely estrogen in women and testosterone in men. Hey, folks, as we get older, we quit producing a lot of the chemicals that our body needs. If you're not getting enough melatonin production that helps you sleep at night, you're not sleeping well. In ladies, there's a host of problems that your body succumbs to when you reach menopause. First of all, pre-menopause, your heart attack rate is 1 to 7 to men. Once you reach menopause, equal playing field, it's exactly the same. Another byproduct of lower estrogen is facial hair, and another one, more important, is osteoporosis. Well, this will help in a couple of ways. One, it regulates your estrogen levels. Now, it's not a pill, so it's not going to give you hyperestrogenation that has also been linked to many of the female cancers. As a matter of fact, here's an article I took out of the Florida Today in the Nation and World section, dated December the 16th. I'll read this to you. It says, Washington, while stressing the value of estrogen treatment for women, a government scientific advisory panel recommended Friday that the chemical be added to the nation's list of cancer-causing agents. So again, this regulates your estrogen levels normally. Oh, incidentally, Eli Lilly just got a drug passed about, I guess it's been about 120 days ago now. It's called Something Fem. And what they're going to promote this drug as when they put it out on market, which will be very, very soon, I'm sure, they got the approval about 120 days ago, is not as estrogen drug, but they're going to be promoting this as a new miracle drug for menopause. And what it is, ladies and gentlemen, is it's Prozac. They haven't changed not one single chemical component of Prozac. They got it approved only in changing the name. Hey, I have no problem with Prozac. I think it's helped a lot of people, but I do have a problem with the pharmaceutical company going to promote this as a new drug when it's something that's been around for a very, very long period of time. It's another case of being, I'm afraid, duped by the pharmaceutical companies. Let me get back to this. This will help in a couple of ways. One, it regulates your estrogen levels. Number two, it migrates the calcium from the arthritic joints back to the thinning bone in osteoporosis, and over time can actually build bone mass. And it also removes the calcium ions that the plaque sticks to, causing arteriosclerosis. And then going ahead and moving on, it says, I have found amazing results in patients with joint pain and swelling, arthritis, eczema, asthma, insomnia, Parkinson's, impotence, osteoporosis, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, injuries and wounds, and this is all from Hopkins University. Next it says, magnetic therapy increases cellular oxygen. I want to say one more time. When you increase cellular oxygen, every single organ and tissue in your body benefits, even your eyes do. It encourages a deep restorative sleep, causing the body to in effect heal itself, thus reducing inflammation and relieving pain. That's from Dr. Atkins. I've got one other article I want to share with you. My wife gave this, she subscribes to Family Circle. This happens to be November's issue. And in here, it had a very good article. It says, magnets, health hype or miracle cure. Let me read this to you. It says nearly 90% of Americans are in pain at least once a month, according to the Arthritis Foundation. For 40%, it's nearly constant. Dr. Elliot Cole, administrator of the National Pain Data Bank, in one of the newest miracle cures for pain isn't new at all. Magnets have been around for centuries. It says right here, there's no question that these magnets have amazing properties. Since the late 1970s, doctors at the Mayo Clinic, Brown University, and other medical centers have used magnets to help recalcitrate non-healing fractures to heal, possibly by stimulating bone cell growth. And this is wonderful. This is brand new research that's being funded now. Let me read this to you. It says, Dr. Holcomb will soon begin clinical trials on the effects of magnets on neurological disease. He expects to see a benefit for victims of stroke and people suffering from senility and depression. All brand new research being funded on a product that's been around literally for thousands of years. So it is very, very exciting. And then here it says, magnetic therapy works. It works for patients with arthritis, migraine headaches, tennis elbow, bursitis, and tendonitis. And these remarkable results simply come from the application of magnetic field therapy. And folks, that's from Dr. Julian Whitaker, founder and president of the American Preventive Medicine Association. And I feel that many of you are familiar with Dr. Whitaker. Dr. Whitaker's been on Oprah Winfrey, Larry King Live, CNN News, the 700 Club. What you may not know is that Dr. Whitaker had one of this country's largest heart centers out in California, has since closed his heart center down and devotes all of his life to natural and non-intrusive ways of healing and preventing disease with a very strong emphasis in magnetic therapy. Now, these are some of the universities and hospitals and some of the doctors. Other doctors have become so impressed with their research and the research of others that they have authored books, and I'm going to share only a few of these with you. The first one is The Bible of Alternative Medicine. It's called The Definitive Guide. It's authored by Burton Goldberg and Dr. Deepak Chopra, where it says in here, magnetic field therapy is a method that penetrates the whole human body and can treat every organ without chemical side effect. Well, what can it treat? It says right here, cancer, rheumatoid disease, infections, inflammation, headaches and migraines, insomnia and sleep disorders, circulatory problems, fractures, and pain. There's a whole chapter in the Definitive Guide. And then this here is Healing with Magnets by Dr. Gary Null. Now, Dr. Null has one of the country's largest syndicated radio health talk shows. It's now syndicated coast to coast. Last spring, he did a long series on PBS on natural healing and devoted a tremendous amount of time to the benefits of magnets. This is the book he authored, Healing with Magnets by Dr. Gary Null. This here is Magnetic Therapy, the Gentle and Effective Way to Balance Body Systems by Dr. Burma. Here's a book, Healing Magnets, A Guide for Pain Relief and Speedy Recovery. It's by Sherry Kahn. She's not an MD. This is a lady writer, but she went and talked to the doctors in the field and found out how they were using the magnetic therapy in their patients and how the patients were benefiting. And it's done in lay terms, very easy to read, very easy to understand. And then Magnetic Healing, Advanced Techniques for the Application of Magnets. And this is by Dr. Burl Payne. And every time I hold this doctor's book up, I think about a young man coming out of medical school with the name of Dr. Payne. Boy, he'd have never made it as a dentist, would he? But Dr. Payne graduated magna cum laude from Washington State University, currently holds a doctorate's chair at Boston University. This is a very good book that he's authored. Matter of fact, Dr. Payne's considered to be one of the foremost authorities on magnetic therapy products in this country. He's got another book that will be out by spring, also called Magnetic Healing, where he had done an extensive study on magnetic sleep systems, and he mentions the natural health alternative sleep system as being the premier sleep system, both in the quality of the product, but also in the strength and the therapy of the magnets. So we get a real strong endorsement in that book. And then here, Pain-Free with Magnet Therapy. Discover how magnets can help relieve arthritis, sports injury, fibromyalgia, and chronic pain. This is by Dr. Arthur Filler, director of the Bioelectric Chemistry Laboratory, Mount Sinai School of Medicine, Columbia University. And then magnetic therapy, the pain cure alternative, a scientifically proven method that really works by Dr. Ron Lawrence and Dr. Paul Roche. And then here, the pain relief breakthrough, the power of magnets to relieve backaches, arthritis, menstrual cramps, carpal tunnel syndrome, sports injury, and more. And this is authored by Dr. Julian Whitaker and co-authored by Dr. Brenda Adderley, where it says in here, magnetic therapy is completely safe and that it's very easy to use. And folks, it doesn't get any easier to use than this. You don't have to swallow it. You don't have to inject it. You don't have to strap it on. You don't have to sit in the waiting room and wait for somebody to call your name so you can write a check to your physical therapist or your chiropractor. All you have to do is go to bed at night. It's that simple. You know, we talked about the level of difficulty in making changes. The level of difficulty in making this change is absolutely zero. All you do is simply do what you're already doing, I hope, going to bed at night. But you know what? All of those case studies, all of those universities, all of those hospitals, all of those doctors, all of these doctors, and all of these books don't mean a thing if it doesn't help you with your fibromyalgia, if it doesn't help you with your osteoarthritis, or you with your arthritis, you with your migraine headaches or your insomnia, if it doesn't help you with your circulatory problems, your blood pressure, if it doesn't help you with your shoulder, your neck, your back, your hip pain, or your knee, if it doesn't help you, it doesn't mean a thing. And the only way you're ever going to know if it can help you is if you what? Try it, certainly. And it's always been if you wanted to try it, you would have to buy it. And if it worked for you, great. And if it didn't work for you, well, that wasn't so hot. So we come up with a way, because you could not make an intelligent buying decision, we come up with a way for you to make a trying decision, to where you're able to try the product for 30 days on your bed, and then based on your own results, then decide at the end of the 30 days whether you want to keep it or whether you don't want to keep it. And here's the document that says that right here. It says Natural Health Alternatives, 100% satisfaction guarantee, hassle-free, no questions asked, 30-day trial. It says simply try the product for 30 days, and that's not 30 days from today. That's 30 days from the time UPS delivers it to your door. And if not completely satisfied after your trial period, call our customer service center for return authorization number before 40 days. So you don't have to call on the 32nd day or the 36th day. Just call before 40 days for what? For 100% refund guaranteed. It's that simple. It does say here, however, if the product's returned before using it the trial period, then and only then the customer will incur a $75 processing fee. And the reason that's there is this. This is not a pill. You're not going to take this and then 30 minutes feel dry mouth or groggy or lightheaded or sleepy. It may have taken you time to get these conditions. Don't look for them to go away overnight, because they do not. You know, same thing, people that are ordering the sleep system for preventative reasons. We know exercise is great, but if you start exercising tomorrow is what, Friday? Don't look for the results Saturday or Sunday of this week. You look for the results in 3, 4 Fridays or Saturdays from now. That's when you're just going to begin to get the results. We got other people that have said, look, I've been on blood pressure medication for years and years. How am I going to know in what a month's going to do? I've got people that have arthritis. I've taken arthritis medication, the painkillers and the anti-inflammatories. It works for 45 days or so. Then it quits working. They put me on another regimen, and then they put me on another regimen. And all I'm doing is tearing up my gastrointestinal system. Or people with migraine headaches, they've ingested the painkillers, they've sprayed the stuff up their nose, and they get temporary relief at very best. But because of that, how do I know in 30 days I'm going to know enough about the product? Folks, if this is you, the company has now given us the latitude only at the dinner presentations to extend the 30-day no-risk trial to a 60 or a 90-day. So you can have up to a full 3 months to sleep on the product, and then at the end of the 3 months, based on your results, decide then whether you want to keep it or whether you want to return it for a full 100% refund. What's the worst thing that can happen? Of course, the worst thing that can happen is you get all your money back. What's the best thing that can happen? The best thing, of course, is it helps you with the condition that you have and you sleep on the product for the rest of your life. Now, what are the prices of these products? I know you're all dying to find out. This is an article. This was the one that was done in Today's Health. And in here, they looked at many different types of magnetic therapy products. And it says right here, it says prices range from $5.95 for insoles with tiny little magnets as I said, that our company doesn't even make, to right here, to $2,000 for king-size magnetic sleep systems. Now, the magnetic sleep system that they did in this study was right here. They were 500 gauge strength magnets. The magnets in the sleep system up here are 8 times stronger. So now, what are the prices of our products? I'm going to give you that right now. First of all, on the twin size model, the model that we have up right here that has 290 therapeutic magnets, 3,950 gauge strength certified Class 8 magnets, the price of the twin size is $1,098. The full size is $1,298. The queen size is $1,498. And the king size is $1,698. Folks, that's still $300 less than what they said you'd spend for a king-size sleep system with 500 gauge strength magnets. This is 8 times stronger. But let me ask you this. Is that expensive? I get yes. I get depends, and it really does depend. I get no, not very often, though. But if you're telling me, Gus, there's no way my health's worth $1,098, maybe it's worth $49.95, or maybe it's worth $200. You know, we had a lady that was sitting in the back. She says, you know, I go to the chiropractor 2 times a week. I spend $30 each time I go. If this does what everybody says it will do for me, I'll have my money back in no time. But you know what? She said something else that I thought was even more significant. She asked herself, she said, am I better off having the money in the bank or being free of my condition? You know, we talked about who wants to be a millionaire. If any one of us here had $1 million and we didn't have our health, there's not one of us here, including me, that wouldn't give every penny of it up in a moment to have our health back, because there's nothing more important than our health. Folks, I've only got one other product. I'm going to share this with you quickly. This is the only other product that we manufacture, and this is our seat cushion. Now, folks, let me get this out of the bag. Now, does this cover my whole body? Please say no. Okay, thank you. No, it doesn't. And remember, every single clinical study that has ever been performed had proven conclusively the best way to treat any of the ailments in your body, even ailments that are in your extremities, is to treat your entire body. This doesn't treat my entire body. This is only to be used in addition to the sleep system. When I'm getting the benefits of the sleep system all night long, and then if I'm having to sit for long periods of time, whether it's my favorite chair at home or chair at work, for me, it happens to be in the automobile. I live in Palm Bay, so it takes me about 45 minutes to get home from here. But the company has sent me all the way to Pensacola. It's an 8-hour drive. And when I would get out of the car, you know how well, you don't know how my butt would get, but I would get that numbness and that sciatica. This continues to give me the same therapy all the while that I'm driving the car. I'm getting the circulation so that when I get out, I don't have the pain and discomfort. Is there anybody in here tonight that's suffering from any kind of back trouble right now? Anybody have it? You are, ma'am? I'm going to take this right over here to you. And just as we're wrapping up, I'm going to let you sit on this. If you'll stand up, please. Let me let you feel this, sir. It's quite heavy. This has 68. I'll let you feel it too, man. This has 68 of the same therapeutic magnets as the sleep system does, the same strength. And if you'll go ahead, where's your back hurt? Right, the lower part. Sit right back against that. And sir, I saw your hand up too. I've got one other here. Let me get it out, and I'll let you sit on it. Just as we're wrapping up. The gray model that I have you sitting on, ma'am, is the last year's model. This is this year's model, the 2001. We call it Fluffy. It has the same amount of magnets. Let me let you feel this, sir. Yeah. It's prettier than that one. And if you'll just sit right on that, and then if you notice anything at all as we're wrapping up, you can let me know. Folks, the price of the seat cushion has 68 of the same therapeutic magnets, 3,950 gauge strength. The price is $295. You know, and I get people say, Gus, look, I know people that have really gotten some great benefits from magnetic therapy, but I just can't afford these products. Well, you know, if we were sitting in some third world country, I would say that might be the case, but we're not in any third world country here. We can all afford these products. It's just a matter of where our priorities are. You know, I just came back last week from my 30th wedding anniversary cruise with my wife. Spent a lot more than $1,098, and do you know what I have to show for it? About 5 extra pounds that I gained while I was there. You know, and I don't have to go out into the parking lot. I can look at all of you here this afternoon and know that there isn't anybody here tonight that drove here in a car that they spent less than $1,098 for. And listen, I'm not a betting man, but if I were a betting man, I would bet that after you have a lovely dinner today and you go out into the parking lot to your car, you put your car in reverse, and God forbid the transmission fell out. If you had it towed into the mechanic, if the mechanic told you it was going to cost you $1,098 to fix the car, I doubt if you would say, no, no, you keep the car. I'm going to ride a bicycle or take the bus for the rest of my life. No, you're going to get your transportation taken care of because it is important to you. Hey, and so is mine. Certainly I'm going to get it fixed. But again, how much more important is our health? Folks, the good news is this. The good news is when we do these dinner presentations, the factory gives us a few of these factory direct certificates. Now, what they had given me is they gave me 5 of these for this presentation that I'm doing now, and they gave me 10 of these for the presentation that we're having here at 6:30, the later presentation. But now, why does the company do this, and why do they do it for just so few people? Well, first of all, if we did it for everybody, we wouldn't stay in business. But the other reason is, what is the best form of advertising? Word of mouth. You're absolutely right. And so there'll be 5 of you here tonight that will have an opportunity to try the product at the factory direct price, risk-free for 90 days. And then at the end of the 90 days, you're going to decide then whether you want to keep it or whether you want to return it for a full 100% refund. But if you're in the 96% that keep it, you're going to tell your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones about it. They're going to call into the toll-free number, and they're going to order the product at the regular price, which is how the vast majority of the product that we ship and sell is at the regular price. Now, if you want to try one of the factory direct certificates tonight, all you'll have to do is fill out the highlighted area of the order form. I will write the factory direct pricing in there for you. Don't do anything with the pricing. And I get some people, if you're back there, you want a certificate, if you hold your hand up, I'll hold a certificate out for you. They do go very, very quickly. Others, you're welcome to come up and get a certificate. And really, I encourage everybody, please, to come up and examine the product after the presentation. I've got some people that will right away, when they hear the factory direct price, will grab one. I've got other people that will come up and say, you know, Gus, my back has been bothering me, my neck, my hip. I say, sure, you want one of these factory direct certificates? And they go, no, no, see, my condition's not that bad yet. And what I hear them saying is, no, I'm going to wait until it gets so bad that I'll call in and I'll order it at the regular price, and that's fine. But what's worse than that is these are the same folks that in the last 3 years of their lives will spend 60% of their retirement savings on doctors, hospitals, and prescription drugs, and that is very, very sad. And I'm going to give you the factory direct pricing right now, but just before I give you the pricing, I just want to run down the key points one time real quickly. The first key point, is it easy to use? Folks, it could not be easier. The second key point, are there no negative side effects? Absolutely not. Unless you got a pacemaker, for everybody else, 100% safe. The third key point, is it backed by experts, people that you know and people that you trust? And it certainly is. And then the last key point, is there no financial risk? And folks, we've taken all of the financial risk out of it. It's only going to be based on your own very personal results. Nobody else's, not mine, not your neighbors, not the doctors, not the hospital, but your own very personal results, whether you keep it or whether you return it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the rundown on the factory direct pricing. First of all, on the twin size model, and you can order this anytime, folks, through the toll-free number, it's $1,098. And they will, if you order it through the toll-free number, they still will do the 30-day no-risk trial. That's standard with what we do. At the dinner presentations, we do extend that to 90 days for you. And let me give you a rundown on the pricing. The twin size, that's $1,098. The factory direct price, oh, by the way, we take check, credit card, we take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover Card. And let me give you the rundown. On the twin size model, that is $1,098, the factory direct price, $698. The full size, that's $1,298, is $798. The queen size, that's $1,498, is $898. And the king size, that's $1,698, is $998. Folks, and that's less than half the price of what they said you'd spend for a king-size sleep system with 500 gauge strength magnets. This is 8 times stronger. And for those 5 of you that want to try the certificates tonight, you may have up to 2 of the seat cushions at our factory cost. Instead of $295, we let those go a maximum of 2 with any sleep system at our cost at $147.50 a piece. And with that, folks, I want to say thank you. But before I close, I want to say this. These are our health issues. It is certain that we cannot rely on a medical system that's obviously flawed. We have to make changes ourselves in order to see a difference. And here's an opportunity for you to make such a change. without any physical risk and without any financial risk. The only real risk that you have, of course, is in doing the same things the same way and expecting to get a different result. And folks, with that, I want to thank you very, very much. You've been a very attentive and delightful group to talk to. Thank you very, very much.